Okay, so welcome everybody to Prospects Racing League, round 6 of Tier 3 here at Miami, racing around the Hard Rock Stadium. The race was first introduced here in 2022. We had a fantastic race here, and let's hope we can replicate that in our virtual game. I am joined by Arctic Genie today.
Oh, you can call me artistic. It's artistic genius, but just call me artistic.
Artistic, no worries.
Yeah, and not autistic. Artistic, as an artist. Okay, artistic. Yeah.
So, it's a wet qualifying, which will certainly put a bit of a spin on what will happen based on the order of this session. No.
Oh yeah. Wow. That is terrifying. Because I tell you, this track is frightening enough when it's fully dry. I don't know it at all. I'm barely learning the thing. It has definitely been more error than not in the trial, you know. And I know they were putting up tier 1 and 2. They were putting up around, I think tier 1 put up 126, a mid 126 in dry, and I believe it was around a mid 127 for tier 2 in dry. So I'm thinking, I don't know, in the wets here, we might lose, man, we're going to lose quite a bit of seconds from that. I was thinking we were probably going to initially be about maybe 2 seconds off the tier 2 pace, but it's going to go down significantly more than that in the race.
Indeed, and Bottle Job Gaming, just out of the pit lane, actually broken his front wing already, so he's gonna have to come back in and change that. Just everybody in chat, can you hear my game volume? Because I can't hear it myself. Just let me know if you can. It might just be a glitch on my part.
I can hear a little something in the background, but not really, not a lot. Like I can hear my voice on the back end if that's coming from the TV, but I can't hear an awful lot.
Yeah, there seems to be no game volume. Oh, it's come back now.
And I can imagine
change that.
Were to be driving this course in real life under these conditions out there in Miami, Florida. Now, growing up in California, I had heard of humidity, but I didn't know what it was. I kept meaning to look into it, but it never got enough of it for me to really get around to it. And then I moved to Texas. I was like, oh my God. And then by the time I got to Missouri, you know, between Texas and Missouri, I kind of understand what humidity means, but nowhere near compared to how they deal with it in Florida. So dealing with that type of rain and it's probably just so muggy. I can imagine the drivers in those cars would be miserable. Absolutely miserable.
They would be, as it looks like Kivo is going to be the first to start a flying lap, but we're just going to follow on with Matty D through the S's in the first sector at the moment. Area that does catch out a lot of drivers in the dry, let alone the wet. Got to be extra careful on that throttle and those steering inputs. Do not want to go too wide as he pulls it out and swings it in for the long left-hander. Pulls it round yet again, straight back on the power, full throttle. Purple first sector was the flash as he accelerates all the way down the first straight. Miami has 2 pretty big straights, and a 3 DRS. I think it's only 2 DRS zones around this, or it might be 3 DRS zones.
I believe there's 3, and it's a really big track too. What is it? 308 kilometers, but let me get this. Let me pull the many DRS sections we got. 3 DRS sections, 1 in section 1. Actually, there's 2 in section 1, and the third one is in section 3.
Yes, and the straights along Miami are incredibly long, so expect some fantastic overtaking into the corners, especially since after the 3rd and final DRS zone on the track, you've got a very tight left-handed hairpin, which really is precarious, and especially on that exit you've got to be extra careful you don't light up those rear tyres, as Kivo sets the first time with a 39.9. Then Matty D in the McLaren tops it with a 39.0.
Yo, Kevo was my first prospect teammate back in season 1.
And
He did whoop me. I'm yet to be the teammate. Dang it.
and Burger Rage goes to the top of the timing charts with a 38.2. Perfect, thank you for that. It just wasn't, the game's sound wasn't popping up for a bit on me. I was getting a bit concerned, but thank you for that. That confirms that we are. And look at this, the Ferrari D Hog coming to the line. He goes P7 with a 40.4. So looks like about a low 38 is the current best time. About 8/10 clear of Matty D, and the McLaren is the Alpine of Rage Burgers. There's a yellow flag in that second sector. Not too sure who that was for. I think it might have been Bottle Job Gaming.
Might have been Matty. No, it couldn't have been Matty.
I think it was the Alfa Romeo actually of Bottle Job Gaming, who has already spun twice so far. As we go with the Haas of Cavolis, who himself is just through the S's section in the first sector, keeping that Haas in a nice straight line. In this game, the one thing I found especially is if you do light up those rear tyres and have a bit of a snap, a bit of a slide, you'll really struggle on the exit a lot more than in the previous games. So it's really important to keep that rear end straight, especially in these wet conditions, where if you do slide it will be quite a big one. And the purple sector 1 from Cavolis showing that he is certainly driving that Haas.
I'll tell you this,
beautifully.
I don't enjoy driving in the rain, but looking at these cars in the rain with the raindrops beating up on them, that is freaking amazing. Over the halo, really, really beautiful graphics in these cars.
Yeah, indeed, and especially on the PS5 as well, it does show up amazingly. And actually, Rage Burger had put in an even better time, about 3/10 quicker than his previous best at a 37.9, which will certainly be proving his current confidence in that Alpine. Currently, of course, leading the way. As through the final hairpin comes Cravolis, he's going to now enter the final corner. Quite an interesting shape to this final corner, quite fun to drive, not so fun if you do spin round it, as Cravolis comes to the line, and it's only a 40.1, that purple first sector, pretty much the highlight of that lap, as he seemed to struggle a bit in those last couple of sectors. Only 3 drivers have yet to set a lap time, so 2 drivers now, as I can't exactly remember who just set that time, but Gasmore Pam is the last driver actually out on the track who has yet to set a lap time. Of course, he is on the intermediate compound of tyres, which is the best for this light rain. Full wets are just a bit too ungrippy for this kind of circuit. There's just not enough water for you to move, as in that first S's section comes Gasmore Pan. He's just darting that Mercedes ever so beautifully, ever such precision and smoothness, just to keep it within the track limits without that rear end stepping out. Oh wait, he actually has set a lap time. He's just on an in lap as a 44.2, although he'll definitely want to be going again with that time. Trying to see who else might be on a flying
He's a
lap.
half a second up. He's a half a second up right now.
He's improving, but he's not got much ERS left to play with, only 6%. So that will certainly hamper him in the latter stages of
Well,
this.
Lucifer's going to come out in the softs? That had to be a mistake. Lucifer, what are you doing, my friend? What the heezy?
So
But he can't, okay.
Shahid on the soft compound tyres then.
But he's still in the pit. He's yet to come out. So he might yet make another change there, because that is awfully risky. Because the rain is still coming down pretty hard.
Yes, it's far too early to switch onto those dry compound of tyres. Maybe perhaps he's waiting for the track to maybe evolve a bit, some other drivers to clear some of the standing water before he goes and attacks it at his full potential.
There is a small groove being created, but not much of one.
As your current P1 holder, Rage Burger comes into the pit lane to get some fresh tyres. I think Matty D actually is on a fast lap. I think he's just coming to the end of one. Not exactly sure. Oh no,
I think this is going to be. This is going to be like one of those circuits that if you're really comfortable with it, you're going to have a major advantage over your competitors compared to people who are just typically race to race or just really kind of consistent with most tracks. But then you hit tracks like this one or Singapore or Monaco that are just an aberration to everything else. It's like, okay, can you perfect this track? And this one's going to be really tricky, not just because of the rain, but just the whole infrastructure of the track is really very difficult.
Indeed, there's a whole mixture of these high-speed corners. A big snap from Showbits actually coming out there. The mixture of high-speed corners, the slow, tricky corners, especially that chicane coming under the highway overpass, that's a very difficult corner. Wow, Showbits going very wide there, really struggling to find the grip as he actually invalidates his time by doing that. I think that's Sinister Crazy on a fast lap.
I'm looking at him in an AlphaTauri. That reminds me, I seen a video earlier today with Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda driving backwards in a race against each other. Yuki was crashing into walls and whatnot, and that's AlphaTauri there. As I flipped the channel, I couldn't help but fall out of my chair laughing. It was hilarious. Not typically a Max viewer, but I did watch a portion of that video.
Yes, Yuki's face after was like, oh dear, what have I done?
Oh, you think that? Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm so sorry.
And Sinister Crazy actually being held up a bit by the AlphaTauri, I think, through that tight chicane. It's very difficult to get right in clean air, let alone in the dirty air, and behind another driver, but he's managed to dispatch of him coming down that back straight. So now looks like Sinister Crazy will be coming to the line. Has he improved? Don't look like he has. He improved by about 9 tenths and has moved up to P3. That's a good effort from him. Trying to see who else is on a fast lap at the moment.
Looks like Shahabit.
Yes, the AlphaTauri, who was enjoying some drifting in the rain, is back to driving normally again. High gear for this wet weather driving, keeping, of course, especially if you've got traction control off, the difficulty of your throttle discipline. Your throttle discipline has to be perfect.
Out of control. I think you'll probably find a mixed combination of people who may go from no traction to medium traction in this particular tier. And what they just recently done with all the tire pressures and the updates, it's really tricky as to what to do with the tires when they're heating up too much, when there's too much air in them. I really haven't got that part of the game down yet.
Yeah, it's very frustrating how they just continue to change it. As Showbits actually says a purple middle sector, he is actually flying on.
Flying, yes he is.
Yeah, it's quite frustrating when you learn one way to do something and then they completely change the whole mechanic and you have to relearn something different. It's almost like having a new game pretty much every sort of month or so when Codemasters do bring out this new update. But Showbits, who's about 1.5 seconds off, he was about 1.5 seconds up. He's actually gone P2 with a 37.959. Fantastic effort from the AlphaTauri driver.
Man, watching him fly through that second section there, it was like when you see somebody else drive this track, it's a beautiful track indeed,
Indeed, it's amazing to watch. I think F1 Nerd just coming to the line now. He set a 38.4 that put him up into P5. He'll be fairly happy with that effort.
Absolutely one of the cooler nicknames too, by the way. One of the cooler PSN names, shall I say. F1 Nerd. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think Matty D actually just started his flying lap. He is towards the end of that first sector, so we can see how much he is improved by, or how much he is down on his time. He's improved by about 1/10 in his purple through that first sector. At the moment, I think that's going to put him provisionally up into P1, which is definitely going to be beneficial to his race start. Only 3 minutes left on the clock, so probably enough time for a couple of laps, but maybe not to pit in, maybe a couple of straight laps on the track. That's actually quite a common strategy, as the Aston Martin almost gets in the way a bit at the chicane. Not too sure which Aston Martin that was, but
so we're still waiting on Lucifer to come out and set a lap. He's got about 3 minutes.
Indeed, he does. I think he's going to wait till the very last second and set one lap
He's coming
only.
out now. He's coming on out.
As Matty Z.
Lucifer. I think he must have wanted to use those softs, because typically in quali he's normally one of the first people to go out to try to kind of get comfortable out there. He'll come back in and watch everybody, then maybe go back out towards the end. But this time he waited till the last minute, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does.
And Matty Z goes P1 with a 37.8. He was improving. He only improved by about 0.2, but that has sent him to the top of the leaderboard. Yes, indeed, Lucifer Shahid is on an outlap. I think he is on the intermediate compound of tyres. Perhaps he was gambling on only using some softs at the end of the session, but that hasn't quite worked out for him as he would have anticipated. Looks like PTN Garbage Man on a flying lap. He is just he's just finishing the first sector and 7/10 up on his time. That should propel him a few places, possibly up into P10 if he can keep this up and improve just a bit more through the middle. The middle sector is pretty much a straight and a couple of tight chicanes.
It seems as if they want to make up some time, the second section is the place you really have to do it and just go flat out. Either the second section there, or you get a chance to make up a little difference on that long straightaway in section 3. But you gotta hit that turn right. Turn 17 can just ruin the whole race.
Yeah, indeed, especially with the way that these cars work and how important these exits are. And look at that, 1 second up from Garbage Man, a purple middle sector. Running low downforce, extremely beneficial around Miami, considering there's two pretty much just straights. As he's got to avoid the Aston Martin driver has to avoid the people queuing up to start their laps. With only a minute of the session remaining, we're going to see people crossing the line left, right, and centre as Garbage Man crosses the line. He goes up to P13 only.
I would say this has been an amazing quality. This is the first one we've had all week long in the wet, and we haven't lost a single driver. I almost spoke too soon. We haven't lost a single driver.
Garbage Man spinning round, also now for Towery round. I believe that was, I'm not too sure who that was. I think it might have been Showbits actually, who was the Alpha
Garbage Man
round.
Oh, Garbage Man looked like he might have got spent there in the Aston Martin. I just picked him up a little late. He was pulling off. He may not have been in spin. He might have been getting out of someone's way, but he was there for a second as I pulled up. All right, Luke, we're trying to get that out lap started. that hot lap started.
And evening to everybody in the chat as well. Mr. Crazy has just put in a 38.2, and I think he actually might have just done an outlap. This is his final attempt, qualifying over Bottle Job Gaming and Pelosi F1. That was their and Cavolis, those were their final times. Coming round the final, actually Kevo comes into the pit lane. Looks like Berger has just come across the line and says a 37.3. That puts him on provisional pole position. Can Matty D say anything about that? He's about 2/10 up. That's not going to quite be enough though, as he comes to the line and is only a 37.6. I'm about 3/10 off Rage Berger in P1. Good Showbits, he invalidated his time. He's got nothing to answer for it. Simster Crazy's about 4/10 up on his current time, bumping all over the curbs in that final chicane as he's going to accelerate down the long pit straight. About 3/10 up. Now, that's not quite going to be enough to dispatch of Matty D, but it might just about be enough as D-Hog goes P3. It might just be enough to get Showbits moved out of P4 as he comes around that final chicane, as he winds up that final corner.
Did we lose Showbits?
Showbits just retired in the pit lane. This is crazy.
Okay.
Does display Showbits and goes P4. Fantastic effort from him. Just trying to see if there's anyone else on a lap. I think Gazmore pans the line. That was his final effort. So everybody across the line. So Berger takes P1, followed by Matty D. Fantastic job from Berger to take pole in a wet session in Miami. Well behaved by everybody. No crash, no DNFs from a crash, and yeah, brilliant effort. And D-Hog getting quite close to Matty D as well. So this could be quite an interesting race. Of course, if it is dry, we will have quite a different order of pace, as some people are quick in the wet, some people are quick in the dry.
Yeah, so who we got? We got Berger, Matty, and D-Hog at the podium position so far. And we got Simster, Shohats, F1 Nerd, rounding out the top 6. Crew Steamers, Bottle Job Gaming, Pulaski, Dom War, Cobblis, Lucifer 12, Kevo, and I did not catch what was coming on down in the bottom end there. I absolutely apologize for that. Let's see, can I get it from this other screen? Nope, I missed it.
So, not entirely too sure what the weather is going to be. If anyone who's racing in chat could give us a sneak preview, that would be amazing. But we might actually see the weather before. So, racing around Miami then, that first sector can cause quite the difficulties when racing, of course, high speed, quick flicks, and it is dry for the race.
Ooh, that helps.
So what that might have meant actually is a lot of drivers might have actually went for a dry setup in qualifying to avoid of course the race pace being slow, as the race is where the points are scored. So naturally you'd want that dry setup for a dry race and sacrifice your qualifying position maybe.
To some degree, I've almost wondered, is race pace is important as racecraft on this particular circuit? Because it seems like, you know, the fastest doesn't necessarily last the longest. We have a lot of there's been quite a few times with half the grid being gunned by the end of the race. So, we'll let you take it from here.
So yeah, so the out lap around Miami then, quite a long one. And we will take a look at the tyres that everybody is on then. So, Berger, the top 3, all on the medium compound of tyres. Seems so crazy choosing to take on the hards early on in the race. Showbits also on the mediums. F1 Nerd, Crew Streamers and Bottle Jog Gaming also selecting those hard compound tyres.
That seems, from what I've seen, that seems to be the preferred tire on this particular circuit. But they almost seem to take 2 or 3 laps to really get fully up to speed. So I've seen some mediums really get the jump on those hards to start a lap and go a lot further than would be expected and are able to outlast the hards. But the hards seem to be the more popular choice throughout the tier so far this week.
And Pulaski F1 and Domwar on the mediums, Kavolis on the hards, Lucifer Heed on the mediums. Kevo deciding to go on to the softs. Interesting. We see how his start goes. The nature of this circuit, the high-speed corners, does pretty much indicate those softs are going to go off pretty early on, which could be catastrophic for his race. Then Garbage Man, Mordstar and Gazmore Pan also on the hards. A lot of drivers deciding those hards will be the best early on.
It seems like if they're able to really kind of nurse those tires a little bit, you might be able to get 9 to 10 laps out of them. But if you're racing them hard, I would say 6 to 7. So he's probably going to try to make a move on someone really quick, you know, get a couple spaces, switch to those hards, and then ride it out the rest of the way.
Well, if he can gain a lot of places and then a safety car comes out and he can get on the hards when everyone else is going to be on the older tyres, but they can't pit because they're on the hards, and it would be catastrophic really for their races to pit from hards to a different tyre that early on. He could be in a really good position should the safety car play into his hands, but if it doesn't, he might struggle a bit.
And once again, a lot of these guys are familiar with each other, so they're going to be able to race hard, knowing that they know the other person next to them and how the other person races, so they'll know when to back off and when to push. It's going to be interesting.
Yes, indeed. So I think all the grid is lined up. A couple of people deciding it was good to play some bumper cars at the start. So then we have 5 red lights. And away we go for the Miami Grand Prix here in Tier 3. Looks like a good start for Matty D. He's already ahead of Berger into turn 1. He's going to try steam around the outside. The Haas getting pushed a bit wide there. So it looks like Simster Crazy is down a position. So too is Berger. Is there a crash in the background? Not sure.
Yeah, look.
So yeah, towards the end in the S's section, looks like the Aston Martin going wheel to wheel with the AlphaTauri, gaining a couple of positions. There is philosophy also
right off the bat.
Yeah, and also
he really came storming. I was anticipating some type of accident back there because he came on that edge so quick, like no one even seen him there. You looked up, he gained 2 or 3, 4 positions. I was like, wow. And then by the time I got my camera on him, it was kind of over. But man, really great start.
Indeed, so big loser there. Bottle Job Gaming down 3 positions already. Kivo not making the impact. There's almost a collision there between Lucifer Shahid and Bottle Job Gaming. Slamming on the brakes was the Alfa Romeo driver just to avoid what has happened in front then. So as we look, I think it looks like Polosvi F1 trying to attack Simster Crazy, who himself is really on the back of F1 Nerd. Simster Crazy thinks about the move, is a bit too late to do so. Polosvi tries to go the long way around, but doesn't quite have the grip to do so. Matty D then still leading them away. D-Hog is wheel to wheel with Berger in the background. D-Hog steams round the outside of Berger, who is down 2 positions on the first 2 laps. Not the ideal start for the Alpine driver after such a stellar qualifying in the race, falling back just a little bit. Looks like Simster Crazy and Polosvi still going at it there. About 2 tenths separate these 2 drivers. The Aston Martin on the medium, so it's going to have a lot more pace off the line compared to the Red Bull, but the Red Bull still holding firm and keeping that position.
Yeah, Simster Crazy and F1 Nerd almost had a little fender bender back there around turn 15, but F1 got up a little bit ahead of him, and I thought they'd mix it up a little bit more around turn 17, but F1's just really taking off from here. He's up about 4/10 of a second on Simster, who's hard on his heels, being chased by Pulaski. Quite an exciting race so far.
Indeed it has been. It looks like Berger actually has got back past D-Hog and is trying to make grounds, although the gap to the leader is 2.5 seconds. Matty D doing a fantastic job there, and look at this battle that's brewing yet again. D-Hog making the move this time on Berger, although he's around the outside. Berger, ooh, the AlphaTauri of Showbit steaming into the back there.
Yeah, that was rough. He almost made contact. It looked like he broke a little bit late. Broke a little late, but he was able to recover.
Could have been catastrophic there. And look at this battle that's going on in the back between Bottle Job Gaming around that P10 region. Crew Streamers just got past Kravolis actually. Crew Streamers not having the greatest of getaways, down 5 places already.
And he's not off to one of his better starts, but he's one of those kind of drivers that he rarely ever gives you any type of penalties. So as long as he can keep his race clean, if he's on those hards, he's got a chance to fight back up in there.
And Gazmore Pan actually, I think, has it spun round in the first sector, possibly a tap with the wall. No visible damage on that Mercedes, but he could still have a bit of damage as well. Just like further up the grid, a Aston Martin and Red Bull are battling. Down here, Mordstar and Garbage Man are also battling, both with the DRS active. So eRacing is going to play a big part in who can win this fight, and just actually further ahead, very close battling between the guys in front, and I think there's another yellow flag, because I think there's been an incident. Kivo and Crew Streamers, they've had a bit of an incident there. I think perhaps a bit of rear tyre touching has occurred, and that has led to that spin. No safety cars. Kivo actually takes a 5-second penalty for corner cutting. He must have absolutely...
Kevo, stop it! You're on the south! Stop it!
He's absolutely monster trucks that chicane then. As actually, look at this for P5. Showbits actually is dropped back a little bit. He's actually after the little incident, as DRS is active, he's going to defend hard to the outside. A wing or a wheel cannot be poked in from Polosvi, but he's still going to attack the AlphaTauri into that first sector. He's going to be squeezed out just a bit and backs out, and then almost makes contact with him, and that sends him just a little bit wide, which hasn't compromised him too much, but going too wide in this battle might open him up to Simster Crazy behind. He was trying to regain some of those positions that he did lost, of course, but also he has moved up 3 positions in this race so far.
There's not a lot of comfort on this track. I'm seeing a lot of late breaking points from people who aren't typically late breakers. So it's like they're trying to read the track and each other at the same time, but they're doing a great job of somewhat staying out of each other's way. Really. Great racing.
Indeed, great, nice, clean racing so far. Not too many incidents. Last week we had quite a few crashes towards the end in Japan, but Japan a bit more of a difficult circuit, as it looks like. I think that's Kivo actually round again. Yes, it is, just coming out of the pit lane on cold tyres. Moving back to this battle now. Show it's DRS active on F1 Nerd in front. Not quite going to be close enough as they come to the braking zone.
Yeah, and I thought I seen that one nerd scrape a wall too, but the way he's on Burger's behind there, I don't mean it to that degree, but on his gearbox, I don't think that he suffered any damage if he did indeed scrape that wall. He's on that Haas.
Yeah, indeed, he's still just about ahead of Showbits, and actually Polosvi has actually dropped off a little bit. He was actually outside of DRS range coming down that back straight, but he's regained that gap now and is back inside the magic window that allows you to get some nice overtakes, although DRS not quite as powerful as it's been in previous games, which is nice as you can actually defend from attacks, whereas in other games previously it was quite the struggle to. So the battle really again heating up a bit as DRS is actually active for Showbits. It looks like he might try and make a move here. He's not quite close enough though, as they come in as a bit of a tap on the back of F1 Nerd. If there wasn't a bit of contact, they got ever so close together. It was almost like you couldn't fit paper between them.
You know, that turn right there, turn 15, I don't know how it happened. I'm yet to see an accident there. Because for me, that is the most difficult part of this whole circuit. Just getting through turns, 14 through 16 right there is just brutal.
And Showbits
13 through 16.
And Showbits had picked up that 3-second time penalty, but he has actually made the overtake work this time on F1 Nerd, and is ahead of the Haas and will be trying to hunt down Berger if he has got the pace to do so. Of course, he is on those mediums, which is really going to help his early pace here as Kravolis takes a 3-second time penalty as well. So, looking at as a gap to the leader, Matty D maintaining that 2.8 second gap over D Hog behind. He's doing a good job in the McLaren so far, although D Hog has quite a bit of ERS in reserve, about 40% or about 30% more than Matty D has, although his pace has significantly slowed down as Berger is almost within that 1 second window. Showbits hasn't quite been able to pull the gap that he might have wanted on F1 Nerd, although F1 Nerd himself is going to be under some big pressure from Pelosi, who's pulled out of a second from the Red Bull behind, although this battling might cost him a bit of time and allow Sinister Crazy to get back into the fray of the battle. No one making any overtakes that time, although Bottle Job Gaming has just got past Dunmore actually and has moved back into where he started on the grid as they head through the tight chicane where you bump and jump your F1 car. I actually saw quite a few incidents there in real life, especially when they were trying this track out for the first time. Pretty successful Grand Prix.
seeing Lewis Hamilton fly through the air this weekend, hey, I had to turn the channel. I said, all right, I'm done. I'm done. I'll catch the replay on YouTube or something, okay?
As down the inside actually went Lucifer Shahid, although he went a little bit wide on the exit, and that has allowed Donmore to get back through. Although Lucifer Shahid is going to try and attack again, coming down this pit straight. DRS active for none of these drivers, and Lucifer Shahid is going to maintain P10, although he was temporarily up to P9. He's got to try again. Oh, round actually is Donmore.
Oh, Donmore spins. Oh, my goodness gracious.
He reverses across the track, of course, ghosting on. So, actually, Lucifer Shahid, in the end, has made up that position. Probably not the way he would have wanted to, but he has got that position nonetheless. Moving back up the field then, Pololsky actually on the attack from F1 Nerd, who has dropped far outside the DRS of Showbits in front, and looks like down the inside of a fairly easy overtake there for Pololsky. And look at this, actually quite wide from F1 Nerd. That might allow Simster Crazy to get back through and move and gain one of those positions that he lost off the start. He is of course down 3 places, which is quite unfortunate for him. He would have really wanted to make some progress, although I believe he is on the hards, which at the end of the day isn't the end of the world. DRS active for F1 Nerd and Simster Crazy, though Simster Crazy seems to have that better pace. He's got a much better exit as he's thought about going down the inside but wasn't quite close enough, had to slam on the brakes. That has actually allowed Bottle Job Gaming to close up just a bit more. This is turning into quite a battle at the front. Rage Burger unable to close that gap to D-Hog down too much more from what it was previously. But yeah, this train of 4 cars here fighting for P5 is really allowing the top 4 to run away with it a bit.
Couple another 3-second penalties. The penalties are starting to mount up a little bit, close to just a little bit over a third of the way through the race. And
Garbage Man in the Aston Martin actually has just had a little spin and has dropped down a couple positions as such. So yeah, just out of interest, what penalties everyone's on. 3 seconds for Kivo, 3 seconds for Kavolis, and also 3 seconds for Showbits as well.
I wonder if it was an advantage for Lucifer not to have had many laps during the rainy qualifying time. So when he came back out here in the dry, I'm sure most of the laps that he raced in preparation for this race was on the dry. So he didn't have to adjust too much to the wet before starting the race in dry. He can keep it in the same mentality, and he's climbing up the grid right now.
Indeed, and looks like Bottle Job Gaming is trying to make a move on Simster, although the DRS-less Haas is making that quite difficult as they make some contact. Almost a half spin there from Simster Gaming. That was pretty...
Simster and Bottle Job Gaming and Simster.
It was 3 wide. It was pretty much unavoidable there, considering it looks like D-Hog's round. D-Hog's spun round the driver in position 2, as it looks like we've got full yellows. I think that's a full safety car actually.
Yeah, D-Hog doesn't have any wings right now.
He's lost his front wing, so that is indeed a full safety car out on the track. Just looking to see who would fall behind that safety car. Yeah, there is a full safety car for that incident then. Stewart's very quick to pull that car out.
Do any of our leaders blink in pit right now?
We are on lap 9. They are all on the mediums, so it might be an advantage for them to take a gamble and take 20 laps on the hards if they can maintain it. It might be a gamble. We'll see what happens. It can be done. Yeah, indeed, it can be done. We've seen it. I think last time out, we saw a Mercedes driver take it quite long with his hard compound tyres. So we'll just have to see what these drivers do. Matty D had pulled quite a gap. He is doing a fantastic job.
Right. Kevo's coming out in the mediums.
Yeah, Kevo's not had the greatest of races so far. His strategy is just not, well, it's not necessarily his strategy's fault. He's just not.
It was kind of feast or famine. Just looking at the strategy coming out of those softs, is like, hey, he's got to just basically go for broke or it's curtains.
And indeed,
didn't work out.
The leaders are in. Everybody who was on the mediums pretty much into the pit lane now for fresh, hard compound tyres. I think actually everybody coming into the pits. Everybody, even ones who are on hards, but they're going to have to stop again, the drivers on hards. Yeah. Because you do have to change dry tyre compounds, unless we do see some rain later on, but looking at the weather, I highly, highly doubt that. So, everybody pretty much on new fresh hards, apart from F1 Nerd, Bottle Job Gaming, Simster Crazy, and Mordstar.
I think we've seen those. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's alright. Crew Streamers also deciding not to pit. A couple of actually drivers going onto the mediums, Kravolis, Garbage Man and Kivo, but Gasmol Pan deciding to stick to his 4-lap old mediums that he had on after he had his little incident.
So it's almost pretty much the midfield has taken over as the lead of the race. We're going to see who's going to be able to fight their way back to the top here.
Yeah, indeed, pretty much F1 Nerd, who was leading that battle from about P4, takes the P1 spot, whereas Matty D goes back down to P4, of course, but he is on the fresh tyres and does not actually have to pit again, whereas another safety car would be extremely beneficial to the drivers in front. And considering the stewards brought out that first safety car very, very quickly, we might see that again. So I reckon the safety car will come in probably next lap, because Kivo and looks like Gazmorpan and Garbage Man have got quite a way to go, as they're actually only in that middle sector at the moment, and still have to make their way round to the back of the snaking queue. He's forming from behind F1 Nerd. This race so far has been very exciting. Quite a lot of action has been happening. Some fantastic
with so little collisions.
Yeah, indeed, very clean racing, which is amazing to see. It's always good to have.
We had one of our fuller grids too, because this week I think it's been a lot. Personally, I'm just outside looking in. My race isn't until tomorrow. It looks like it's been a lot of intimidation on this Miami track, because typically we have full grids, and we have not had full grids this week. So are that many people involved in that many off-track things right now? Well, it could be. Or it could be that no one wanted to deal with Miami the same way people were from Monaco.
So Gazmon Pan actually switching on to. He switched from 4-lap old. I think it's actually just a glitch with his tyres. They're showing his hards are 4 laps old, despite the fact he's just coming out of the pit. So another interesting F1 game glitch there. So I think Gazmon Pan, we won't really truly know the age of his tyres, which isn't ideal. So Gazmon Pan and Kivo have got yet to join the snaking queue. They might possibly join. It might be next lap now, especially since Gazmon Pan has just pretty much entered that second sector. He's got quite a way to go before he does reach the safety car. Although he might just about do it.
Well, it looks like Delta's allowing him to keep a decent amount of speed up. That's so frustrating when you get back there sometimes. Whenever you start speeding up, that Delta will tell you to slow down, slow down. You're like, wait, what are you talking about? They're way up there, you know?
Yeah, sometimes the F1 game does that. So yes, it is going to be lap 13. Lap 12, the safety car comes in. Racing will resume on lap 13. F1 Nerd will lead us away from Bottle Job Gaming and Simster Crazy, and then the safety car was for D-Hog's incident. He had a spin in the first sector in the start of it in the S's and lost his front wing. So I'm assuming it was for the debris on the track. It was a very quick call, probably quite the unnecessary one as well. and that has just changed the entire balance of the race. Good evening to you too, Zipper.
Well, we had something similar like that yesterday when the quali setter, the pole setter, went from P1 to, I believe P12. By the end of the first lap, she had a spin out and it just never could recover. So, sometimes that definitely changes the canvas. What is happening here? But you got a lot of guys out here that are used to winning races. I see some fast people out here that are used to beating a lot of folks. So there's plenty of people out here that can give us a competitive win right now,
Yeah, indeed. It entirely depends actually on when the second safety car comes out, as it could. Looks on my screen there's a bit of a pause there that happened, and it almost looked like F1 Nerd a bit of a crash with Bottle Job, although that's probably just a glitch in the game. But yeah, so everyone of course in the safety car queue, but yeah, it does very much depend on what happens with a future safety car. As
safety car in this lap.
Indeed.
And I've noticed too, as a lot of people get closer to each other during the safety car, I kind of wonder if people are pausing their car during the safety car. That happens, but all the while, you are responsible if your car hits somebody. So be aware that don't trust your computer. Do not trust the AI of your car to drive for you, because it will not do a good job under the most strenuous of circumstances. That might be the AC guy. 1 second. Yep, 1 second.
And indeed, everybody trying. As it looks like actually F1 Nerd has already bolted off the line, caught quite a few drivers napping. That's allowed him to maintain his current position. Simster Crazy under a bit of pressure from Matty D behind. He had some fantastic pace earlier on in the race and is now already trying to make that overtake happen, as we've got yellows in sector 1. Crew Streamers I think is actually round, as Matty D's actually made that overtake on Simster Crazy already and is already back into the podium positions. Fantastic restart from him. Gasmore Pan actually might have had a collision with Crew Stars. Not too sure what's happened there. We'll see some footage later on that will let us review that. But yeah, indeed, Simster Crazy now picking up a 3-second time penalty. Is under huge pressure from both Showbits and Rageburger behind. Almost 3 wide coming into the hairpin section. Looks like Showbits has made the move on Simster. So too has Rageburger, as he's pinned to the inside and has absolutely nowhere to go on the exit through the tight chicane. He comes, he's already down quite a few places. Those old tyres proving very difficult to control, especially compared to these guys on pretty much fresh tyres, especially as they've just come out of a safety car. He might have not quite got his tyres up to temperature as much as he wanted to, although Showbits actually has dropped off from Matty D already, who looks like he is already attacking the leaders. Look at this in the background. D-Hog trying to make a move. He looked like he might have actually been a bit too ambitious and lost that position again, as Mordstar tries to defend from his. D-Hog dives to the inside, hard on the brakes, although it might not quite be late enough, as he's going to try and hang it round the outside. The exit wasn't quite as good as Mordstar's was, and that is going to allow D-Hog to unfortunately remain in P8, even though now he's actually under a bit of pressure from Palolsui behind in the Aston Martin, who has been doing fantastically this race so far. Of course, he pitted for the safety car and he is attacking the Ferrari. They are both on pretty much equal tyres, so it's pretty much all to play for there in terms of the position. And yeah, that safety car restart, we saw a bit of an incident, I think, between Gasmore Pan as F1 Nerd gets overtaken for the lead. A bit of a lead battle going on here. F1 Nerd regaining it, coming around the loop and through the chicane, of course. No overtakes being made there. It would be pretty much impossible to overtake through that section of the track. Is a big snap from Showbits coming out there. That's going to really, he's going to really struggle coming down the pit straight, although maybe it was just a pull out to the outside. But Bottle Job Gaming going down the inside, coming into the hairpin. Looks like F1 Nerd trying to stick with him around the outside. He's going to be pushed wide and into the wall. Bottle Job Gaming They made some contact, did him and F1 Nerd, just coming out of the hairpin, just not enough space at all, and now Bottle Job is going to be swallowed up by these guys down in P7, P8, and actually D-Hog's passed Bottle Job as well. Bottle Job trying to go back down the inside of D-Hog, and that move has been made again. Mordstar and Simster Crazy, the teammates, also in a bit of a battle here. Simster still trying to defend from Polosvi, F1 behind the Aston Martin, really trying to find a way around as DRS was just enabled this lap. So a bit of an incident in the back as it looks like Bottle Job Gaming has spun it round. Yes, he has. Crazy stuff happening, and that has completely changed the fabric of the races. Matty D is back into the lead, and F1 Nerd down to P4, and he is still on those old tyres as Lucifer Shahid gets overtaken or tries to go down, steaming down the inside, but doesn't quite have the space to do so. Is looking further up. Mordstar still trying to attack D-Hog and simultaneously defend from his teammate behind. The pace that Simster Crazy has, he really needs to make this overtake if he wants to progress even further in the race. Both are actually on 14 lap old hards. They're doing a fairly good job to defend from those guys that are on the fresher tyres behind. People looking for a move as down the inside goes Simster Gaming on his teammate, a suicidal dive bomb, and that was a crazy move from Simster. He went for it, and that's cost him massively. He's now under huge pressure from Polosvi. Polosvi round the outside. He's going to try and hold it later on the brakes, and he's going to swing to the outside to cover off Simster's overcut. Wow, that was a bold move, and that really hasn't paid off. He's actually lost the position and might have actually given his teammate or himself damage. Not too sure if there was damage there, as Mordstar takes a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Wow, that kicked off awfully fast in the back there. Looking actually further towards the front, Berger is making an attack on Showbits now. He's going to try go round the outside. That outside is going to become the inside, and then he goes back round the outside again. He's going to try and hang it with the wheel just tucked in on the Alpha Tower. He's going to back out sensibly enough through the chicane. Not enough space for two cars. Barely enough space for one down there, as Berger's now going to get another attempt at it coming down this back straight now. DRS active for the Alpine driver, only 5/10 behind the AlphaTauri. Gazmore Panner's retired.
Yeah, looks like he retired in the pit as I was on the phone with the secretary of the technician there, who's not going to show up again apparently. Looks like he spent 2 or 3 times and probably just said the heck with this, you know, and slipped on out of here. So he's our first casualty today.
Indeed he is, although he's coming back out onto the track, even though he is retired. He's left the session. We retired in the pit lane, but he's back out on the track, causing a yellow flag, which is going to really break up the racing. That's not ideal, as he did retire in the pit lane, which is what you're supposed to do, but the game has pretty much said no, you cannot retire in the pit lane. That brings his race of misery to an end, as he'll find somewhere to pull over to on the side of the track. But back to this battle for P2 in this race. Rage Berger coming back at Showbits in a place where he so nearly made the move on that last lap, but wasn't quite able to. He's not quite close enough this time around, actually. So he's going to have to try again. He's going to try and get a bit closer down through this tight left-hand hairpin, and that's going to be really important. He has a bit closer. He's about a couple of tenths closer, actually, as now he'll get DRS at the moment. DRS active for the Alpine driver. He's 2 tenths behind as the DRS is active. He's going to pull to the outside, already ahead before they even touch the braking zone. Good move from Berger. Now he's free to try and chase down Matty D, who's already pulled out a 2-second gap. Matty doing a fantastic job.
F1 Nerd might have bumped D-Hog a little bit a couple times. A couple little love taps, but it didn't seem to affect D-Hog too much. F1 Nerd backed off. D-Hog took off. and now he's got about a 2-second advantage on him. So I wonder if F1 Nerd sustained a little bit of wing damage there when he bumped him, but it doesn't look like it. Oh no, he's gaining speed back up. He must have just backed off him for a second to give himself a chance to attack again. Now he's about 0.2 of a second behind. Looking good. Guys are racing hard. And looks like Monster and Sinister are really pushing those hards right now. They're each on about 17 laps on those hard tires, as well as Crew.
Sorry about that, we had a bit of a mic cutout. Headset just completely turned off, which is exactly what we wanted. But yeah, Berger
has got it 3 wide. Coming around turn 14. No, I take that. Yep, that was turn 11. I take that back. Turn 11. And D-Hog got a warning there for multiple times crossing invalidating per se. That's going to hurt him because he's just outside the podium right now, and the penalty is not a good time to get one. We're about 2/3 of the way through the race. Plenty of racing left ahead of us.
This race has gone very fast. It's down the inside. Attempting a move was Cavalis on Mordstar, though that's not going to quite work out for him, as it looks like Mordstar dives into the pit lane to try and get a bit of an undercut on his teammate. That's going to promote Cavalis up into P7, who is on quite old mediums. He's going to obviously be pitting later on in the race then. So Showbits actually hasn't dropped outside the DRS of Berger, which is probably what he really does want in this session, as he can now try and get that DRS, reel him in maybe a bit, and maybe make an overtake towards the end if he saves his tyres, saves his energy.
Monster just got a penalty. The penalties are starting to pile up.
And yeah, we can just take a look at the penalty now. Kivo actually on 6 seconds, with Showbits, D-Hog, Cavalis, Simster Crazy and Mordstar on 3 seconds respectively. So that will play quite the factor when it does come to the checkered flag in about 10-11 laps time. Lucifer Shahid had a bit of, I'm not exactly too sure what happened to him, but he did have a spin, and now he's actually fighting Dom War coming through that turn 11 complex. He backs out a bit.
There contact? Nope. Okay.
He just backed off, slammed on the brakes to allow space for that chicane, of course, as if you do compromise your run through there, you'll cost yourself massively coming down that pit straight, which is actually what Lucifer Shahid has counted on, as he's now got DRS on Don Wall. He's quite far back. He could try an almighty dive bomb. That's one that I actually did see.
You know, I kind of wonder what would have happened if Kevo started on the mediums, because these last 10 laps on the mediums, he's really moving up the grid there. He's in the points now. He's in the points. He's in 9th place here. He started off on those softs, and it looked like he wasn't going to make it to the race. And look at him now.
Indeed, he had a bit of a spin as well. It sent him to the back. He's doing a fantastic job so far, with only about 9 laps remaining of this race. So then, looking towards the lead, Matty D still holds a very comfortable 1.9 second gap ahead of Berger, who is saving up some ERS to try and defend from Showbits, who has been burning that ERS up in the AlphaTauri in the charge to try and gain P2. Of course, Showbits now actually does have that 3-second penalty, so I'm sure Berger is not entirely worried as long as he can keep it within the track limits.
Well, surprisingly, Matty D's burning up quite a bit of ERS too. He's down to 16% because he's got such a comfortable lead. You would think he hadn't had to use it as often, but maybe he's had to use it to keep such a comfortable lead, because right now he's looking great. 9 laps left, and he's got a 1.7 advantage over Berger, who was our pole setter. These guys are really racing their wheels off right here.
Indeed, they
and when
are.
I say guys, that's everyone. That's guys and girls, because we do have ladies represented in our league as well. Like Lady Paige, she's a beast. That lady is no lady, let me tell you. She can certainly drive. Beats the heck out of me as her teammate. So every time I see her out there on the circuit, I'm always rooting for her. And watching her improve.
Indeed, and Shobit's actually had a bit of a step out in that final corner, and that has dropped him back a few tenths actually, and he is down to about 8 tenths away. And F1 Nerd just diving into the pit lane. He was on 20 lap old hards, and I think that's round. A big incident at the back there for Kivo. He's round in the Ferrari, lost his front right end plate, and he's going to have to let every other car past before he can get it going again. He doesn't quite get it going in a straight line. He's going to have to... Oh, Kivo's left the session.
Oh, Kivo!
Perhaps a disconnect there. He was doing so well. I think a bit of a commentator's curse has hit the Ferrari there. So unless he can reconnect to the session...
Yeah, something weird must have happened, because I think as long as I've raced with him, I've never seen him quit mid-race in the middle of a lap after an accident. That's an aberration. We'll have to hear what he says about that sometime later on.
Ooh, something else has just happened in the turn 11 area. Crew streamers, bit of an incident perhaps with one of the Red Bulls, Simster Crazy perhaps, or Mordstar. These two have been really battling it out hard, and now they're on the fresh mediums for the last few laps. Mediums might not have been the best choice considering there's only 9 laps left. A set of softs like F1 Nerd has got on might have been slightly more beneficial. It's actually F1 Nerd making the most of those and going around the outside of Donmore in the hairpin. A good move from him, as now he's going to get DRS to move down the pit straight. He's going to get DRS on Lucifer Shahid. He's not going to quite be close enough though when they do come round to it, as now he's going to try and go around the outside. So much more grip on those softs, almost making contact with the Williams driver. He's now back down the inside, and that outside
fighting back
has become the outside. And yeah, indeed, Lucifer Shahid fighting back amazingly well to maintain his position. He tries to go down the inside here, does F1 Nerd a beautiful overtake just before the DRS zone. Those softs, of course, really helping him. Although it might have been a bit of a premature overtake, as DRS is now going to be active for Lucifer Shahid, as he can fight back. Coming into through turn 10 into 11. Lucifer Shahid is back ahead of the Haas driver. That overtake was fantastic, but perhaps a bit too premature, as now he's going to have to make that overtake again to get back up into the P8.
It doesn't help him. He just made contact. Oh, turn 15, but not that much. It looks like he doesn't have much ERS left. He was down to 5. He's down to about 13% now. Really, this track surprisingly allows you to build your ERS up really quickly. You wouldn't think it would, but it seems to restore really, really fast on this circuit.
Lucifer Shahid back ahead after they had a bit of an incident through that chicane. Lucifer Shahid actually is on 30% ERS. He's got a lot more than what F1 Nerd's got. F1 Nerd really has to use the mechanical advantage his tyres have got if he wants to make this overtake stick, as we've got a yellow in that first sector. That's Cavolis round. These older tyres really starting to catch a few of these drivers out here. We've seen a few more spins in the last few laps. It looks like F1 Nerd is trying to make that overtake stick again. He's going to try look to that outside, but isn't able to find the space. Lucifer Shahid is defending for his life, and he is defending amazingly as he's maintaining that position. But F1 Nerd, learning from his previous mistakes, is now going to get the DRS. Although he was actually ahead through the detection points, we might just about not get it again. He hasn't. It's happened again just too early on that overtake. Lucifer Shahid is going to steam past, and actually Bottle Job Gaming is going to be going down the inside of F1 Nerd. Not much he can do about that, and he drops down to P10. He's going to still be wheel to wheel, going to be pushed off the track slightly. He's going to now he's going to try and push Bottle Job past through the hairpin at all. Contact. And looks like F1 Nerd made contact yet again with Bottle Job Gaming. Bottle Job putting him in the wall slightly, and then a bit of almost seemed like an anger tap as he cut the corner a bit to give the rear wheel of Bottle Job a bit of contact. He just needs to calm down, F1 Nerd, and just take it easy. He's on the softs. He's got way more grip than the medium compound Alfa Romeo. He'll easily make that move. He just has to relax and let it happen. As now look, DRS active for F1 Nerd. So it is also 2 for the Alfa Romeo driver, although F1 Nerd trying to go around the outside, not quite able to find the grip, tries to switch back. He's really all over the back of the Alfa Romeo, trying to find space on the inside or the outside, but he's not quite able to do so far. As Bottle Job is in the DRS, it won't be so catastrophic for F1 Nerd if he makes that overtake earlier on. Lucifer Sheed has gone wide, and Bottle Job actually has got through, although Lucifer is pretty much pushing him through. And these 3 DRS active into the wall. Big incident, big crash with Bottle Job with Lucifer Shaheed.
Yeah. They raced
full
hard for
safety
about
car.
3-4 laps. That might be the end of the battle. Nope, he's still in it. He looked like he spin, hit the wall, all kind of shenanigans. I couldn't tell whose fault it was by the time I seen it, but I could tell there was a lot of contact.
Yeah, indeed. And Matty D coming into the pit lane for presumably a fresh set of softs. Berger also in. D-Hog in to the pits. A safety car actually came at a fairly decent time, as Philosophy also into the pit lane. This safety car definitely came at a very good time, as it was near when the leaders were the leaders were actually quite close to the pit lane anyway. As Bottle Job, I think he got stuck and has been disqualified. Unfortunately, he becomes our second retirement in this race. So everybody else pretty much.
Why was he disqualified? What did he do?
It said parked in a dangerous position on the circuit. F1 Nerd actually might gain from this, as he's only on 4-lap older tyres, and with a couple laps under safety car, he might only have to race about 2 laps. So this safety car might really help his efforts.
Yeah, like I said, you can probably get 10 laps out of those softs from what I've seen. You know, I couldn't get 10 laps out of it, but he might. If he only needs, 4 more, huh?
Yeah, indeed. He definitely does. Ooh, looks like round was now for Tower. I think that's Domwall on the hards under the safety car, having a little spin there.
Alright. So you think Matty D's going to be able to hold on to this?
Now the tyres are even, although they were actually even, to be fair to Matty D. When we were racing previously, he was 2 seconds ahead on even tyres. So I think he can, as long as he holds it together, as long as the commentator's curse now doesn't hit, he should take I think he will take victory. I don't see anybody else having quite the pace he's had in the dry around Miami. Just getting
If I'm not mistaken, he was the Tier 3 champion from last year. Not this particular tier. We now have 4 tiers. Last year we had 3, and he was Tier 3 champion. So he's absolutely used to people talking about him while he races, and it doesn't seem to affect his pace or racecraft.
No, indeed. He's just got to get the safety car restart pretty much perfect. Looks like we're going to get a safety car restart with about 2 laps to go then, as we still got to wait for Kivo and Crew Streamers to peel around. As looks like Showbits into the pits again. So Showbits is into the pits. I think he's picked up some damage somewhere as the AlphaTauri driver, as he puts on a new front wing. Very interesting. Not sure what's happened there. I'm sure we'll get to find out later on. Lucifer Shahidi again into the pits as well. So now Matty D versus Berger. The battle for pole. The top 2 on the grid. Reverse this time. Will battle it out again in the final couple of laps to see who can take glory in this Miami Grand Prix.
And I'm curious also to see if Pulaski is going to be able to leapfrog some of these folks with penalties and get on that podium.
I think he could, especially if he can get past F1 Nerd on those. F1 Nerd is on the slightly older tyres. So,
but he races really aggressive. He is not an easy guy to pass. He's not dirty, don't get me wrong. Very clean driver. He just races hard. He's not easy to pass. He's going to make you bring it. That Shaheed would know and attest to.
Indeed, and it will be very interesting to see. It's pretty much not even a sprint race, it's pretty much 2 qualifying laps, 100% ERS for everybody then, and it will just be who takes all. No DRS. As actually, we might not even have the safety car in this lap. It depends if Cruise Streamers can make it round in time. I'm not sure he'll be able to. So we might see the final, yeah, indeed, the final 2 laps.
And this gives everyone a chance to fill their ERS up as well.
Yeah, indeed, and that will really even the playing field, as well as it pretty much takes away the management side of the ERS, and indeed we will get going on lap 28 then. As Cruise Streamers. Oh no, it might be lap 26. I cannot read apparently. It'll be lap 27 where we'll get going again. We'll have 3 laps of racing before the checkered flag falls. No, it's just turned to lap 27 now. It will be a lap 28, so we will only have 2 laps of racing.
You know, they need to make it so that the supercars, like that AMG right there, how come we can't race that dang thing?
I think if you bought the premium version of the game, you can drive it, but you cannot race the supercars. I feel like that would be quite a fun mode to race supercars or have a safety car driver in your league races. That would be very fun.
It would be cool. They're going to have to up their game up now with F1 Manager out there. Other people have other options. They really need to give us a few more extra features on here, you know?
Yeah, I think that sort of being able to race with supercars and then maybe play as a safety car, that might really help the ratings.
What would help us, I think, as commentators, is like, you know, if you play John Madden football or any of these other type of sporting games, you can put the computer on as itself, and then you just watch the game play. How come we always have to be in the car? How come I can't start a race on the track and just commentate? That way you can get more comfortable commentating on certain circuits and not just always have to have live drivers driving. So it's a way to increase both broadcasters and drivers, you would think. You know, because considering there's so many leagues and sim racing is becoming so big, all the major leagues have comms. So you would think that they would start to cater to people who are going to be broadcasting these races a little more. Give us more features, give us more options, let us know more things. Like right now, we can't access the weather. There's no radar and things of that nature for us. So there's a lot of different things they can do.
Yes, indeed, and I'm sure that will be implemented, especially with the resources EA have. As long as they use them right, we will get better games in the future. But it looks like Matty D, has already bolted. They seem to bolt around the final corner of this track, the short straight, definitely playing a bit of a part in that. F1 Nerd actually already under a bit of pressure from Pelosri. Looks like Showbits has got past Mordstar in the AlphaTauri moving on the Red Bull. Further on, it looks like actually Showbits trying to already go around the outside of Kravolis and trying to go back down the inside of Garbage Man. He's made that one stick. A brilliant set of moves there from Showbits to move up about 3 places in a set of 2 corners. Brilliant work from him to move his AlphaTauri up into P7. As we've got a yellow flag round is Kravolis. He's back down to P14 now, and he's pretty much out of it. Matty D almost pulling a 1 second gap already. Fantastic job from him.
And Monster, we haven't been able to say his name much. He's been quiet throughout this race, but it's great to see him up in the points right now. Hold on to that. Well, I guess he ain't quite in the points yet because he's got actually about a 2 second lead on Lucifer because he got a 3 second penalty, and he's only up just over a second.
Yeah,
just under a second.
He's got quite the way to go if he wants to make, and of course DRS will not be active because it would be active on lap 30, but we do not have a lap 30, so we have to stick with this final lap. Matty D says the fastest lap of the race as he begins his final lap of the race. And look at this, Berger and D-Hog very close together. This will be a battle to look out for that final podium position, although actually Berger, without a penalty, pretty much secured that P2 spot. But he's got to be careful. Should a little tap come from the front of D-Hog, it could be all over for Berger, and he could actually end up far outside the points. Polowski actually already passed, and oh no, very close to contact between him and F1 Nerd, coming through the left-hander just before the start of the second sector. He's already got past him though, and now F1 Nerd under huge pressure from Showbits behind in the Alpha Tower. He's making up huge gains on this final lap. Showbits looks to try and go down the inside of F1 Nerd. Looks like he's already made that move done. F1 Nerd's going to try and fight it back round the outside. He's regained that position and seems to, as it looks like actually Garbage Man also fighting with the teammate.
Ooh, there's contact between Showhouse and F1 Nerd.
Indeed, further back then, but there's still a loose official. He taking a 3-second time penalty, and we're seeing yellow flags waved in that hole back to green flags. As actually no, Dunmore's round and is out of the points, back down to P14 then. So through the final corner comes Matty D to win an eventful and brilliant Miami GP. He led from the start.
Over a second and a half. Wow.
A brilliant victory for him. It was actually Polowski takes the podium away from D-Hog with that penalty as F1 Nerd takes a 20-second time penalty for an unserved drive-through. So all that battling has just pretty much demoted him. And Showbits on that final lap. Brilliant stuff from him simply. To get up all those places. He did a fantastic job on that last lap. Driver of the day for me. I'm not so sure.
I gotta go Matty D. I mean, from start to finish, he absolutely dominated the race, and really, it was his dominance was never in question. Other than taking pole, what didn't he do? I know Garbage Man made up 14 spots. That is beyond significant. Especially lap 1, he really got up there and put some pressure on folks. But the way Matty just got up there at the beginning of the race, got the lead, maintained the lead, it was mouse class to me.
Yeah.
So we got Matty D, Berger, Polowski to round up our pole, round up our podium positions, and we got D-Hog, the host, Sips the Crazy, Garbage Man, Crew Steamers, Lucifer Shaheed and Kevo rounding out our points. Then we got Cavalas, Don Moore, Monster, and F1 Nerd, and our final position today.
Indeed. So I think the interviews should be coming through soon. Just got to invite these guys. I'm not too sure if I can.
Yeah, and see from that point on, he held true to form. And where did F1 then? F1 finished way down there, huh? 14.
Yeah, he got a 20-second penalty for an unserved drive-through. So I can't seem to invite anybody to podium interviews, so it might just be left.
Should we just invite him to the party?
Yes, if you could.
Okay, who we got here? Let's see here.
So Matty D, Berger, and Polowski.
Okay.
So yeah, brilliant race in Miami tonight. All the drivers pretty much clean throughout, just a couple of incidents here and there that will be looked at by the stewards, but everybody did a brilliant job.
I've got Matty. I sent one to put. Yeah, absolutely, and especially you. I mean, you're Brock. You said this is the second time you did this. Are you kidding me? You sound like you should be on NBC somewhere.
Thank you. I've done a few more comms in the past, but this is my my second one for the prospects tonight, and it's been fantastic. And hopefully next time I can get the graphics, and I can actually do it a bit more professional.
In total awe of you, sir. Okay, I was able to send one to Pulaski. I don't have Matty D. I don't have Matty D's as my friend.
see if we can just at least get Rossi. That would be good. I can actually send a quick friend request to Matty D and we can see if we can get him. Quick interview.
Okay. Oh, Matty D just sent me a friend request. Perfect.
Yeah,
accepting your friendship. And then I'm gonna send you an invite to the party to the party now.
So yes, we will. We'll be having some podium interviews. Just got to get everybody in here. I think we're gonna have Flossie and Matty D. Just gotta wait for a little burger.
Can you send him an invite? Do you have his Are you friends?
I don't think. No, I do not. I'm gonna just quickly add him. Let's see.
Let me see what his exact username is here.
And perfect. Matty D, can you hear us?
I can hear you loud and clear, boys.
Hey, congratulations on a masterclass race, sir. You really
Cheers,
put it
boys.
down out there.
It was a struggle, let's just say.
It seemed like you got more and more comfortable as the race went on. It was almost like you were learning the track in the early stages, and then after that, you kind of got your sea legs under you and just took off, man.
Sector 1 and 2 was alright, I just couldn't get the hang of Sector 3, that was where I was losing the most time.
How do you compare it to other street circuits like Singapore and Monaco?
This track is a lot smoother. It's got a nice flow to it, and it's brilliant.
You think it's one that it's going to take people a while to get, or either you get it or you don't?
Yeah, it's one of them tracks where you just got to learn it as you go.
Yeah, because typically I don't, I use like corners only if I drive, but with this one here, when I'm practicing by myself, man, sometimes I put the whole racing line on, like, where the heck am I? And I still find myself adjusting too late, swinging the wheel, trying to catch it, and like, man, when I watch you out there, you're just really smooth. Everything is almost like one motion, man. How much time a day do you put in your practice?
I actually didn't practice for this track, to be fair.
Wow.
Wow, that's so. Congratulations to Matty D, our second place. Burger just joining the party. Burger, a good performance from you today. Unable to snatch the win after a fantastic pole position, but still P2. You must be happy with that race.
Yeah, well, it was unlucky to start. He had the better line, and my car just didn't like the track today, so.
You do like the track?
No, I don't like the track. I don't practice it.
Yeah, I'm yet to actually come across a single person who likes this track, myself included. I don't think it's because it's a new track. It's typically we get new tracks, we're excited, but like, hey, I remember when they finally gave us Zandvoort, it was like, oh, Zandvoort, But this one here, it seems to be a little, it's going to take a minute. It's going to be almost an acquired taste, like sour candy.
Yeah.
I do like sour candy, though. And Matty D, if I'm not mistaken, you won our Tier 3 championship last year, didn't you?
No, I was in Tier 2 last year.
Oh, Tier 2. Did you win the championship?
Nah, I got demoted, unfortunately.
What? Oh, I had it all backwards. I'm sorry.
That's
I had it all... Well, you know how these tiers are, and it's weird because, like I said, when I first started with Prospects, I was Tier 1. Well, that was Season 1. So now Season 7, I'm Tier 4. And we've got 3 other platforms, right? So we keep growing. But, the funny thing is, I'm a much faster driver than I've ever been, but I'm much slower compared to how I look in the league. So for you to even still be at this pace and going even faster and winning races, man, every time you win a race, it's commendable because you got some serious people out there coming for you,
It's a real good comeback from last week. DNF lap 1 or 2, and it's really good to get back up onto the podium.
Did that have anything to do with why you didn't practice this week because of the frustration of practicing so much and being wiped out DNF in lap 1?
Last week it just wasn't my track. Japan
That was
is
Japan,
one of
right?
my weakest. Yeah, it's one of my weakest tracks.
Yeah, that could be a tricky track, especially that first section.
Oh yeah, going through the S bends is. You
That's
just
the
gotta make
easiest
sure
part
you
of
got
the
the
track.
traction down.
So, what is the key to this track here? Because I race tomorrow. What can you tell me to make me not beat P20?
I mean, what wings do you run around this track?
I believe is it 1010? It might be 1010. I use I think I've been using Crew Steamer setup, and I believe it might be 1010 on front and back.
I run 5 and 10, I'm pretty sure.
5 in the front, 10 in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. It looks like see you the basement 5 minutes. Okay, it looks like the helium refrigerator guy that I've been waiting for 2 to 3 weeks is finally about to be in my garage in the next 5 minutes. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off of this line and get with this guy. But it's been an absolute pleasure both working with you, Solid, and watching you, Gentleman Burger and Matty G drive. Sorry Pulaski couldn't be here, but I really enjoyed him as well. Just this whole tier, this whole league is like an extended family to me. My whole family enjoys it every week. We look forward to you guys, just like a Grand Prix races in real life. But I'm gonna get out of the way. But thank you for letting me be involved in the broadcast.
Thank you very much, Artistic. You've been a great help and fantastic in the comm seat today. So I think we can end the stream there. Thank you guys ever so much for watching. Massive congratulations to Matty D, Burger and Philosophy for the podium. So thank you everybody so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys in a future stream. Have a good night.
Hey, don't forget about Tier 3 tomorrow. Tier 4 tomorrow, and the Academy on Friday. The Academy on Friday, and if I'm not mistaken, GT7 on Friday as well. But we got races all week long, so just stay tuned. We're coming back. All right, bye-bye.
We are indeed. Goodbye, guys.